Even though there are countless plots that the Connors Season 6 could focus on, the Roseanne spin-off is inexplicably threatening to bring back a Season 5 storyline that didn't work in the first place. Since the Connors has an ensemble cast, the show often struggles to find screen time for all of its supporting stars. Often, Roseanne's spin-off will go multiple episodes at a time without updating viewers on how Darlene's children, Harris and Mark, are doing. Becky and Darlene's brother DJ got so little screen time in Season 4 that he was eventually written out of the show in Season 5. However, while the Connors Season 7 might fix this, the show has another related issue that makes this problem worse. Even though the Connors scarcely has enough time to give all of its lead characters solid storylines, the sitcom still insists on revisiting plots that weren't all that interesting when they first aired. In Season 5, Dan was briefly reunited with a barfly he knocked out in an episode from Roseanne Season 1. The 24-year-old feud between these men had been almost completely forgotten, meaning the return of a one-episode supporting character for a brief cameo had little impact. The Connors Season 6 Episode 5 hints at Dan and Neville's fight. The Roseanne spin-off is reviving a Season 5 feud. While the Connors Season 6 returning storyline isn't as egregiously outdated, it is just as irrelevant. Season 6, Episode 5's title promises to bring back Dan and Neville's feud from the Connors Season 5, even though this plot was never all that compelling. The outing's title, When Sisters Collide and the Return of the Grifters, is a pretty obvious nod to Season 5, Episode 21, Dating, Drinking and Grifter Logic. In that episode, Dan confronted Neville over calling him and the Connors grifters in a conversation he overheard in Episode 18, Road Trip and Guilt Trip. While the entire cast of characters in the Connors are working class, Neville's veterinary business means he has more disposable income than most of the eponymous family. In Road Trip and Guilt Trip, Jackie loaned Dan money but lied about this to Neville. Neville referred to the Connors as grifters in a phone call with Jackie, unaware Dan could hear him. Dan confronted Neville in the later episode, resulting in a fight that left Neville drinking alone at the bar. When he attempted to drive drunk, Dan took the fall for Neville's DUI to ensure Neville kept his license and practice. The Connors never made Dan vs. Neville work. Neville and Dan's Season 5 fight threatened Jackie's relationship. Dan saving Neville even though he had a legitimate grievance with him was heartwarming. However, more broadly, this plotline never worked since it imperiled Jackie's only successful relationship in 35 years of Roseanne and the Connors. While the Connors Season 6 saw Bev exit the series amicably, Jackie's mother had been an abusive presence since the beginning of Roseanne. Outside of getting mocked by her mother and her late sister, Jackie endured numerous failed careers, countless unhappy relationships, domestic abuse, a failed marriage, and even a child whose very existence was retconned when Roseanne was revived for a 10th season. Jackie went through a nightmarish few decades and she did a lot of work on herself, meaning the character deserves some modicum of peace, stability, and happiness after years of misery. As such, Roseanne's spin-off threatening her relationship with Neville was more hopeless than compelling in Season 5. Grounded portrayals of money struggles were always essential to Roseanne and the Connors, but the show is still a comedy at the end of the day. Piling more misfortune on Jackie by reigniting Dan's battle with her love interest is too mean-spirited to be funny and too sad to be interesting. The Connors Season 6 should bury Dan and Neville's fight. Neville's first Season 6 appearance should fix his relationship with Dan. Dan and Louise in the Connors, 1. There is one surprising way that, When Sisters Collide and the Return of the Grifters, could revive this plot line without derailing Jackie's story. Neville and Dan could work together in this episode, particularly if they are united against a common enemy. Sean Astin's Tyler recently tried to buy the affections of Becky's daughter Beverly Rose through lavish gifts, so it would make sense if his extravagance made both Neville and Dan uncomfortable about their limited means. Alternatively, Louise's limited role in the Connors Season 6 could be fixed by her fighting with Neville or Dan. Louise could take her brother's side in his forgotten feud with Dan, or she could be outraged by Neville's insinuation that her husband is a grifter. In either case, Katie Seagal's underrated character would be the focus of the episode's storyline and Jackie's relationship would be relatively safe. This would be better than the Connors Season 6 risking Jackie's marriage for the sake of a fight that was already resolved last season. Jackie's stability in the Connors Season 6 allowed her to be a better support for Bev and other characters, and she should maintain this role in Roseanne's spin-off.